Okay, normally, in a normal transaction, say if I want to send money from Kazakhstan to USA, I will have to use the traditional method of either a bank, an online service provider like PayPal or Monzo, or even a transaction service provider like Western Union or MoneyGram. So at the moment, if I want to send money, say I buy something from USA, a laptop, it's costing me 100,000 tenge, and I have to send it over to USA. I have to use the traditional method, bank, online transaction like PayPal or Western Union or MoneyGram. Those are known as the middleman. And the middleman normally charge so much extra money. First, there will be a transaction rate or exchange rate. Normally, the World Bank or the World Forex Exchange, they set a rate for every country. So, for instance, at the moment, for today, the World Rate Bank has set 330 tenge will be equals to $1. But Halyk Bank or Western Union decided to charge me 350 tenge for $1 for every time I send something. Plus, they will charge me another 5,000 tenge for the transaction. So altogether, my 100,000 tenge is only become 85,000 tenge when it gets sent over to the USA, because the bank decided to take a bit of high commission. So instead of charging me 330 tenge per exchange, they're charging me 350 plus 5,000 set fee for them handling this transaction. So my person who I bought the laptop from gets 85,000 tenge. I lost out on 15,000 tenge because of the middle person. This is where blockchain technology comes in. It tries to delete the middle person, like your Halyk Bank or Eurasia Bank or Western Union, make the transaction more valuable for both parties. So let's look at this. Same similar instance, we have a network of people. A network of people, for now, we're going to see them as computers or your laptops or your smartphones. And within that network, we're going to have so many thousands of people. So inside the network, we have something called block ledger. A block is basically a transaction, which has details about what kind of transaction it is, who is it for, and has two other things called hash and previous hash. Hash is basically an identifier, and previous hash it links it to the previous transaction. So a block is known as a transaction. So think of an Excel sheet. Every time a transaction takes place, you write it down, and this information becomes a block. So I have my block is inside the cloud, and it's called a ledger because every transaction that takes place is known as a ledger. Now, all those computers are known as, in my network, known as miners. So A now wants to send 100,000 to C in USA. What those miners do in my network, they try to find a unique key for me to do the transaction from A to C in USA. So what the miners will do, they will be in your network and they will always keep on competing with each other. So miners are actual person. It's either a smartphone or a tablet or a laptop, and they're always competing to find a unique key for this transaction to take place. Whoever finds it first will send it over to both A and B. And both A and B will use that private key to validate the transaction. So basically, when they send the money over, they will send the money over with the key. And so when Kazakhstan sends it over to USA, Kazakhstan will send the key. A will check if the key matches. If the key matches, then it will accept the money from C. Will accept the USA will accept the money from Kazakhstan, and whichever miner found the key will get a small percentage of the commission from the 100,000 that is getting sent. So for instance, I said the bank will take something like 15,000, but here the miner takes a very small percentage, something like 300 tenge. So instead of 15,000 tenge, each miner, whoever found me the validation key, took 300 tenge out of the 100,000 that A was sending to C. Now, once the transaction is done, this transaction gets added to the cloud in the ledger. So now we have another block. So before we had one block, or we had no block. Now a block is added into the cloud saying a transaction took place within this network. Remember, within that network, you will have millions of people. So millions of people could be in that network, and they all are competing to find the validation key. So a transaction. So I bought a laptop from USA. They found me the validation key. So I send over the money to USA from Kazakhstan. Then USA will send me the laptop. So now, out of 100,000, C got 95,500. 95,500 tenge. He only lost out 500 tenge compared to if I was to send it through a bank or a Western Union or PayPal, I would have lost out on 15,000. So if the laptop was 100,000, I would have had to pay 115,000 because Apple will say, no, this is not my problem. You're paying commission to the bank. So now, in that sense, with the new blockchain technology, I only have to pay 100,000, another 500 on the top to the miner who found me the validation key. So once the transaction is completed, everyone is happy, another block is added inside the middle. So now we have two blocks. So remember, each of those blocks are linked now. So each of the blocks will have ID, hash, and previous ID. So old transaction block, new transaction block. So each block is joined using a key. Using a chain. That's why it's called blockchain. So each block, so each time the transaction happens, a new chain is added, and this chain connects both together. And that's why it's called blockchain. The block are connected to each other using a chain. So every time transaction takes place, another block is added into this chain. So remember, every day there are hundreds of transactions taking place. So if you have a computer and you could make it a miner, and if it creates 50 transactions a day, that's your 50 times, say 300. You're making lots of money. You're making about 10,000, over 10,000 tenge a day, and you're not doing anything. The computer does everything for you. Nowadays, remember, Bitcoin is part of blockchain, but Bitcoin is not blockchain. Bitcoin uses blockchain technology to do transaction over the internet. So now, inside the cloud, all the blockchains are there, and every miner could see all the transactions that took place and how each blockchain is joined to each other. So this is blockchain in the cloud. It's like Google Disk. If I put a file up, everyone will see the file. Anytime there's some kind of changes taking place, or if someone updates the file, everyone, the people I've shared the file with, they will also see it. So this is how a cloud technology blockchain works. So now, something else called distributed blockchain. So at the moment, it's on the cloud. So every transaction that took place, all the blocks are in the cloud. So distributed technology means everyone also has copy of the blockchain. So all the transaction took place. It is in the cloud, but everyone that within that network also have a copy on their system, on the laptop, on the iPad, on the computers of the transaction from the middle. So I don't know why this is rewriting here. From the transaction from the middle to their system as well. So everyone has a copy of this block. So every time it gets updated, everyone's block also gets updated. This is called a distributed ledger or distributed block ledger. So everyone could see what is happening. And if a new transaction takes place, everyone will be aware of the new transaction. And hope this is it. So every time a new block is added, so hopefully you understood what blockchain is and how it works.